Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. This is a early special edition, Thirsty Thursday conversation with Philip Ebard. Philip Ebard, I was just talking to him. Philip, to me, is like my brother from another mother. I mean, I haven't actually met him, but him and I talk all the time. In fact, he had me help him with his class one time, which is really, really cool. Put me on blast. I hope I didn't mess up the next generation, but I see the lovely ladies in the house, Lola, Angelica, and Roland's review. But without further ado, I can't waste this man's time because this man is always busy. Let me say hello to Philip Ebard. Philip, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just teaching, coaching, uh, writing music, still doing my thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
Doing everything,
Well, I know you had the hip surgery and the knee. Did you get the knee replaced too?
No, I got to have the second hip removed. Like I got to do the second hip surgery in May when school's out.
How's that coming for you?
Oh man, the one that's replaced is fantastic. The other one's not so good.
Okay, so you would definitely do it
Both.
again then, huh?
Yeah, I should have done them both at the same time, but that was a little too much right then. I had to start school.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold off as long as I can with my knee joint replacement. They're trying to get me to 60 because they said, with the construction work that I do, I can't get down on my knees for um, probably a year, and that's just going to kind of kill everything for me. Now, I'm wearing my salute to service hat here because I'm afraid that we might be doing some combat tonight with you
Yeah,
here.
I
Um,
was just going to say, I don't think I could make it right now if I couldn't get on my knees because if I couldn't pray right now, I don't know how I'd be handling things.
well, unfortunately, the off season came sooner than any of us wanted. I thought, man, we should at least get the divisional round and things. And of course, the pundits have got all their things to say. Um, Fortunately, to me, at least, I'm happy about Dan Quinn coming back. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am too. I mean, it seems like, to me, what's important is how the players respond to you, and if they buy in. And it seems as though uh, there were a lot of improvements from the defense last year.
Mm,
Uh, Not
yeah.
to mention the fact that Diggs has had a second year. He's got a year under his belt. This year he came around even more, and Micah Parsons really stepped up this year. Too bad we didn't have the rest of our guys healthy from the beginning.
Hmm.
Uh, but I mean, maybe in this off season we'll get Gregory fixed up and get our free agents signed and make a couple of little moves. And
Hmm.
I think once Dan Quinn can put people into his system that he wants and can do some free agent move arounds,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that we have a guy that's been to the Super Bowl and a solid coach that's now just a defense coordinator. He can only now he only has to focus on one thing,
Hmm.
and that's huge. That's huge, and then the
Yeah.
guys respond to him.
Actually, I'm actually glad that they are keeping Dan Quinn. Most people figure out it's the off season. You got plenty of time to do stuff, but there's really not any time to do anything. With the league year starting on March 20th, you got to decide who is going to be here. What players you want to keep, as well as how you're going to pay them, because they're currently $13 million over the cap. And you look at some of the contracts. Tyron Smith at $17 million, Lyle Collins at $15 million, D-Law at 27, Amari Cooper at 22. They're going to have to either restructure or let some of these guys go to try and keep some players. I mean, you think about Dalton Schultz. I think that they probably want to keep him. Most people are surprised that he had over 70 catches in this offense, but that's a guy who's a free agent along with 21 other guys. So
Right.
yeah, you definitely want to keep these coaches together so we can start figuring that out for next year. The news of how did you feel when you saw the Mike McCarthy press conference?
I really, with basketball season, when the game was over, man, the only thing I watched, and to be honest, I watched Dak's press conference. I really wouldn't have even watched that. I was with
Hmm.
Dak. I was with him the day after. I stayed with him the night after the game, and you know he was devastated, and it was just you know it was good to be with him and get to spend time with him and reassure him that you know this is all part of life, man. I mean, you one person's got to win, one person got to lose, and
Mm-hmm.
there's only one champion. And you know, I didn't even watch the press conferences. I haven't had a chance to do any of them because, you know, I'm over trying to do what I can do with my girls. I'm rebuilding situation. I'm in a rebuilding situation right now with my team over here
Mm-hmm.
at my high school. So I'm working. You know, I really hadn't had a chance to check it out. I saw Dax because of all the ridiculousness, but other than that, I really didn't get a chance to
Well,
check anything.
okay, you saw the press conference, of course, where Dak Prescott became public enemy number one about the trash. Um, that whole thing was just like, you got to be kidding me. Um,
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who watched that, it's you know, first off, he personally said he didn't even see what happened.
hmm
Hey, did you see him throwing garbage at your players? He's like, no, I didn't see any of that. But
hmm
oh, then he went on to say, no, you know, really nobody should have things thrown at
When
them
you're
like that.
hmm
It's sad to throw things at players. They have no idea how hard we work and what we put into this, and you know that no, you know these people don't understand that we want it worse than you do, and you know it's sad when people respond and react that way towards anyone, you know. And then a reporter just out of nowhere in the flow of the conversation says, "Well, I don't think it was at the players. I think it was at the refs." And and you know, Dak in a maybe a bad taste, but in a joking way, said, "Oh, towards the referees, well, you know, credit to them." And
yeah,
and it wasn't as, "Oh yeah, I wish they would have hit him with a bottle." That's not what he was saying at all. He was
Uh,
saying, "Well, as long as they're not throwing at our players," it was just a bad taste, a joke
hmm
based on his frustrations with the referees, which who wouldn't be? 14 flags. Uh, you know, when a
it's
guy stands over the ball
yeah,
and is looking at the play clock, telling you to relax, and you're saying, you know, get out of the way, and he's saying relax,
hmm
and then it goes down to 1 second before he moves, and you get a delay of game, and it gets called.
yeah,
That's pretty frustrating. I mean, then again, when you're 25 yards behind the play in a hurry up offense, trying to win a game in the last drive,
hmm
guy comes running from 30 yards behind the play and bumps into you and almost knocks you down
right.
and stumbles out of the way to pick the ball up and reset it. And then you get blamed for not being there to run the play. I mean, come on, man. You know, you can go back and watch the Kansas City game. There were 3 delayed games by Kansas City that weren't called.
hmm
There
One
was in the
call,
card in the
one
Cardinals game.
penalty on Kansas City the whole game. That makes a difference when you have 14 versus one. Um,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it was crazy, the firestorm that took off um, after that. Of course, everybody, as they always say, you can do 99 things right. If you do one thing wrong, it's the one thing that people get wrong. The crazy thing is, and guys, I'm going to show you this. I don't think Philip can see this. But at the same time, I'm sorry, wrong one. At the same time, everybody was going crazy about Dak Prescott. This was going on with the Cleveland Browns player. You see him laying in the middle of the road, butt naked there in the middle of the median. This was actually going on and wasn't covered. I didn't even realize there was a video of it. You see him here literally walking down the street, the police car backing up from him. Just keep this is insane that Dak Prescott got to say, I commend him for throwing trash. This is going on and nobody cares.
He's not a
Nobody cares.
cowboy and he's not Dak Prescott. And if they put him on every single talk show in America the next day, questioning his integrity and his character, nobody cares.
hmm
But oh, you can attack Dak and you're going to get a bunch of clicks, and the haters are going to go after you and support you, and they're going to go after Dak. They're feeding this hate towards Dak.
hmm
That's my big problem. You're out there trying to get clicks. You talk about Dak's money to make money, and you talk bad about Dak so people will go listen so the haters can support you and the people who support Dak can
Hmm.
defend Dak. But then, it's just a narrative, man. If you really want to pay attention when you're watching these shows, the minute they start talking about Dak, guess what happens?
Oh, I'm
A,
sure
com-
that the views go up.
a commercial. They always, why? Because that's where they getting their money. Soon as they start talking about Dak, there's the views. Here comes a commercial.
Hmm.
It's a joke, man. They want to talk about Dak's money, and then all these people want to question why he got paid. Well, how much money did he make the franchise in the first 4 years?
A
These
lot.
I get these people all think they can coach football, but they also think they're better businessmen than Jerry Jones. You know, I'm so glad that like my surgeries don't get online because there would be a bunch of idiots out there trying to tell doctors how to cut on me and what to do to put me to sleep. Shut the hell up. You're not a professional. You
Oh
don't know
man,
what's going on. If you're not there, you don't know. Period.
I
Even if
agree with
you're a
you.
coach, even if you're a professional, as a coach for 30 something years, I know that if you're not there, you shouldn't comment because you don't know.
Hmm. Amen on that one. Somebody, and I don't really want to go into this too much, but somebody asked your take on Dez versus Taz. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
have to
well,
comment. You don't have to say anything on it. I myself thought that Dez Bryant wasn't necessarily saying anything to throw shade at Dak. To me, I always, I'm a master carpenter, but I don't know everything. And if I can go through work with somebody who's been there and done that, to me, I take that as, yeah, that's a good thing to do. That's why guys like Charles Haley come back and work with the defensive line, can pass on some of that experience and things.
right. You know, what it really comes down to is that's two grown men
Grown ass men.
and grown ass men. And you know what?
Hmm.
That's between them. I mean, I understand they put it on social media. I understand it was out there. But really, what it comes down to is it's not my place. It's not anybody else's place to tell anybody else what to say or how to say it. It's not my place or anybody else's place to tell somebody how to take something. And that should have just been between them two. But again, they're going to make a heck of a lot more out of something than they should. And they're going to attack everybody. They're going to,
Hmm.
and boy, it's just fuel to the fire no matter what happens. And, Dax his own man, Tad's his own man, and Dez is his own man. And that's just not my place to really comment about it all, except for the
Yeah.
fact that, if it had been me, I don't know if I would have put it out there publicly. I would have done it on a personal level because they do know each other. That's all
Well,
that's really
my
say
take,
about
you brought it up actually, when you look at it, like you said, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And quite frankly, for Dez and for Tad, it's, putting them in the spotlight. I don't think it's great for Dez. Excuse me, Dak. I think Dak's a grown ass man and can take care of himself and all that and doesn't need his brother to maybe interject. But, that kind of puts you in the spotlight, good or bad. Hey, I'm here. I'm Tad. I've got a voice, and I've got people that are watching. If you're Dez, hey, I'm here. If anybody wants to sign me, I'm still available. Don't forget about me. So I mean,
right.
maybe that was a little bit more of, hey, we can go ahead and do this, and it can be good for both of us.
I Tad doesn't speak for Dak. I don't speak for Dak.
Hmm.
Mark. We go back about 3 years now, man. We've been talking a long time.
Hmm.
We've had some personal conversations that I like to keep out of the press that I trust
Oh, I
you
do.
with. That I don't really trust many uh, media people with some of the stuff that I've told you.
Hmm.
And some of that stuff is family stuff, some of that stuff is personal. But really what it comes down to is when it's grown ass men, it's nobody else's business. And nobody speaks for him, nobody speaks for Dak, nobody speaks. That's strictly between Tad and Dez. And
There
that's
you go.
that's all I really got to, I mean, nobody can really dispute that. And all why are they commenting about it? They're going to talk crap
Yeah.
about them talking to each other about it. And what are they doing? They're talking about it. Don't be a hypocrite. It's the
Hmm.
hypocritical United States of America lately, man. I
Hmm.
mean, let's stop all that crap. It's either talking bad about one another for political reasons, for racial reasons, for, whatever they can put to separate and divide people. Stop it, man. Stop wearing your feelings on your sleeve, and stop judging people. Stop hating on people. Stay in your lane, man. Social media has opened up this whole
You know
world.
what's funny? It is see, we're old enough to remember when we used to say things like "sticks and stones don't break our bones."
Right.
I'm going to break our bones, but names will never hurt me. But everybody's got to be so soft and so sensitive about anything you say.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. But let's definitely move away from all that situation and stuff. We got Sean Payton apparently waiting in the wings. Finally, the Cowboys have come back and said Mike McCarthy will be coaching for us for 2022. I think they've kind of cut his legs out from underneath of him. We don't know if Kellen Moore is going to get the job in Miami. I know Dak really loves having Kellen Moore as that offensive coordinator. What's your thoughts of possibility of Sean Payton, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, y- a man that walks away from a city that's been embracing him for so long, a man that's been successful in a place for so long, I just really don't think. I think the man's looking to retire. And if he is, and that's really the truth,
Mm-hmm.
do you really want to like coerce somebody to come out of that and go coach for you if he's got no fire left? I mean, don't we have enough fans and players and people around a situation that don't have that fire, that don't have that dog in them? My head coach that I work with, our head football coach, he's won some national championships, and I respect the guy a lot, man. And he says all the time, he says, if you ain't got any dog in you, get out the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see. I see Mike McCarthy, who sat out a year and didn't have a job. And what did he do? He went back to work. He still got some hunger to him. He still wants to prove himself.
Mm-hmm.
Got dog in him. You got Kellen Moore, who's still trying to come up, and he's still trying to prove himself every day. And he's still got a little dog in him. These
Dog.
people
We
criticizing
need some more
Dak.
dog on our team.
Yeah, I mean, but people criticizing Dak. They weren't even sure he was ever going to play again. They weren't even sure he was ever going to be 100%. And he comes back and goes 12-5. He played his heart out. He was at one point leading an MVP.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just forget how to play. There,
Well,
there was, everybody's like, "Oh, it's all excuses." Well, now, excuse is not an excuse when it's a fact. Uh, the offensive
that's
line,
great. Yeah.
I don't know. We've talked about this. I
Oh,
was
the
going to say
offense.
I don't know if
See,
you're aware of
this
it.
this is what drives me crazy because people won't correlate the fact that by week 7, when Tyron Smith went out, it was basically the end of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line being the way you want it to be. Because Tyron Smith goes out, now you've got Terrence Steele, who I actually think Terrence Steele should be a starter at right tackle.
You did a good job.
I mean, I think we were, nobody thought about the right tackle at all when Lyle Collins was out. But now you're taking a guy who's in his second year who's played that right. Now he's got to play left. And that was bad. And then Lyle Collins, I love Lyle Collins, nice guy and everything else, but he's not playing like he did 2 years ago, from the hips and everything else. So now you had a problem with left tackle because Terrence Steele wasn't great. And then you had a problem with right tackle where Lyle Collins wasn't right there. You had, Connor Williams, who's the flag magnet. The flags just love him. And Tyler Badish, who, if you get a player underneath him that's aggressive and big, he ends up getting up too high and getting blown back. So for me, every week that offensive line kept changing, and it was
It
just
was a
no cohesion.
revolving door. It was a
Yeah.
revolving door.
And that you could see that in the running game, how all of a sudden between Zeke and the torn PCL and Tony Pollard and ankle, we weren't getting like 50 yards a game running the football. And that means they could tee off on Dak.
It was the playoff game was the third game the whole year
That
that
they
the
all
whole
played together.
starting offensive line played together. If you don't, okay, even if you're just a novice football player guy that knows
Mm-hmm.
football, even if you're just a novice at knowing football, you should know that timing is everything. Every
Mm-hmm.
step matters. Every lean matters. Every push matters. And when you don't have the time to continue, everybody was ripping the Eagles at the beginning of the year. How did they catch fire? Their offensive line got healthy,
And
and it
they're
took them
running
a
the ball.
time to get back together.
Hmm.
You know, everybody, it's who's healthy at the right time. It's who has the time to get the timing together. I'm not blaming the offensive line either. I'm just stating a fact. I'm not making an excuse. It's a fact. It was the third game in
Hmm.
the whole year that was the starting offensive line. Um, you got two good running backs. They've been hurt since the middle of the season.
Hmm.
You got Gallup, who was out forever, who, by the way, has some dog in him.
Hmm.
He's been out,
And you
for a
had
whole,
Amari
or
Cooper.
comes
Amari
back in
missed 2 games
30.
with COVID, and when he came back, he was not in really great shape from it. He definitely suffered from that. So, people won't take that into consideration. They'll look and say, everybody played great. Dak was just awful. But for somebody who was just awful to have 37 touchdown passes, the most ever for the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't want to hear it's a 17-game season because he only played 16 because he missed one. And I kind of wonder, and I'm not going to get an answer to this or not, but for him to come back with that calf strain, to think that Michael Gallup was out for 7, 8 weeks with a calf strain, Dak only missed one, and on a bad ankle. I don't know how he did that. I honestly don't know.
Anybody who doesn't think Dak's got dog in him does not know him. You don't, you psychologically only, let's just talk about psychologically. Let's forget about the physical aspect.
Hmm.
When you get hurt to that extreme, which you've had your knees bad,
Hmm.
you know, I got my back broken in high school. I know people who've had injuries. I even know people who have injured other players
Hmm.
who really never came back psychologically, mentally for the game. Just never could get it back together.
Yeah.
For it, sometimes it takes a full year of just a psychological recovery.
Oh, I know the first
Back,
few games that I played after tearing my ACL, every time you stepped, it was like, is it going?
right?
Or if you feel a little twinge or a pop, you're like, oh shit, did it go? And so it's always on your mind. And to have something like that, and seeing that, I'm sure he's seen that video more than once.
I
It's got
have.
to be in the back of your head. What's
I
kind of
still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it.
you
Not
don't
one.
need to. You
Never
definitely don't
will.
need
I never
to.
will.
I mean, the thing that, I look at Charles Haley, who, I saw him at the Hall of Fame again, playing football with him at college. He's only 2 years older than I am. And looking at him with two knee joint replacements in the shape that his body's in, what players go through for our entertainment is just unhuman. And
Yeah.
seeing Dak back on the field after just 1 year of that, there's no way in the world. I've kind of wondered, is it completely healed? Has it had enough time to completely heal?
Well, it really wasn't even a whole year.
Yeah, it's true. It wasn't. By the time he
You know,
started working out and training camp and all that, yeah, it really wasn't. So maybe the next 2 months will be some time to get some extra rehab on it, to really get it strengthened and get back into to character. Hopefully, he doesn't need any other work or anything done on it.
no, as soon as when they talked about the second surgery, his second
Actually,
surgery
what's funny? This
it
is
was
so.
maintenance.
No. This was so funny because you and I talked about him having that surgery about a week before everybody else did. And I actually, the next day or two, I was talking about it on my live stream. And to me, it was like, it was no big deal. Dak had another surgery and got cleaned up because you'd let me know. And here it was like 6 days later, all of a sudden, Dak had another surgery and they're going crazy. And I'm like, it was just a clean out surgery.
Yeah.
To normal, just go in, get some bone spurs. It had nothing to do with the broken ankle. This was shit that happened before the other injury. And I'm kind of like, now y'all are taking it as, that literally that to amputate his leg. It wasn't like Alex Smith, who had infection where he had surgery after surgery after surgery to save his leg. It was just crazy how everything just runs when it comes to Dak Prescott. I mean, he literally he's a brand.
Yeah. Well, I get tired of the crap. People don't know how tough it is to have family and doing this, and they can say whatever they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, since college, We're lucky to get to spend, I mean, in total days, if I'm lucky, I spend a month with my nephew a year. I
That's
mean, and we're
well done.
talking about some of those days are 8 hour days. Some of those days are 4 hour days. So you
Hmm.
really can't count them as days. Um, I lived with him when he was a junior in high school, and you know, he's I don't have any sons. All my nephews are like my sons, and I obviously I love my nephew more than I could ever say. I mean, and people don't understand what the family sacrifice, what these players sacrifice being with their family. Dak didn't even get to spend time with his
His grandmother
grandmother who passed
passed away
away
during the
during the
season.
time that he was dealing with his calf injury. And she was more than just a grandmother. She took care of Dak's mother when she was sick. She took care of Dak's grandfather when he was dying of Alzheimer's. He never got to spend the time with her from the time that she knew him, and got to, like, share love with him, and respond to him and have conversations, to the point where she didn't even know who he was. He didn't, people don't understand what these guys sacrifice, but they're so quick to jump on them. They're so quick
Hmm.
to judge them. They're so quick to put them down like they really know something. I actually got a real reality check one day when I was watching these two guys just completely talking about how Jerry Jones messed up Dak's contract, and how Dak just went from being one of the best quarterbacks, and then he must have just forgot how to play and all this other crap. And then so I just got curious, and it was a freaking milkman
Okay.
and a pool cleaner having this conversation. So I kind of got a little reality check. And since that time, I really try not to even, I mean, there's so much hate and so much we got to deal with, but I try not to even involve myself.
I'm
Sometimes
actually
I do
I'm
just
well,
to get,
as far as the talking heads go, I don't think it's hate. I think it's nothing personal. That they just realize it's business. The Dallas Cowboys, and trying to make them look dysfunctional, is green. It makes some money. That's why even it's crazy that we have the divisional playoffs this weekend, and the Dallas Cowboys are everywhere. Every single move. Is Dan Quinn going to go? He's interviewed this place, this place, this place, Kellen Moore, Sean Payton, of course, none of these things should matter with the divisional playoffs and the Super Bowl 2 weeks away. But yet here it is. And so it's easy to put that target. Nobody cares about what the New York Jets are doing. Nobody
you know, let,
cares
let's,
about, any
let's,
of these other little teams.
let's talk about Target since you brought that up. People who don't think that there's a slight, if you don't understand that there is some motives behind the hate of the Cowboys, and the way that they're called against, and all the stuff that goes on. I want you to realize how many people have risked their whole careers for $100,000 in a gambling, or $100,000 to cheat a team, or players who have risked their professional careers by
Mm-hmm.
throwing a college game, or all
Yeah.
these things. And go back and think about the fact that Jerry Jones won a lawsuit against the NFL that has cost the NFL billions, not
Mm-hmm.
millions, billions. And you think that they don't hold a grudge? You think that they aren't trying to do you don't, they suspended Zeke for 6 weeks with
Yeah.
no freaking police report filed, with no police charges filed.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Miles
beyond even
Garrett
that,
didn't. How long did Miles Garrett get for swinging a helmet at a guy?
nothing.
Did he get
But
6 weeks?
here you bring up a great point, because you'll remember after the Zeke situation, the NFL came out and said you're paying the legal fees, and Jerry was like, "No, we're going to fight this." And I think when he went to New York and had that meeting, that he got read the riot act that we got 3/4 of the owners right here that are ready to take your team from you, because you'll remember Jerry came out of there with his tail between his legs and said, we're going to pay the money on it. And I think that grudge of him trying to replace Roger Goodell is still out there. There's no way in the world of some of these calls that we end up getting that you truly know that it's a bullshit call. You're going to tell me that New York is supposed to be on the line to make sure these calls get right? And, here it is, the commentators, everybody else in the world knows they're wrong, but there's nothing done on it. And here it is in other games, you see something totally different. So, yeah, I think that there is an agenda. The thing that actually scares me, though, is how much money that you pointed out with gambling now.
Here's my take on that. They are ruining professional sports with gambling.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to gamble, let's gamble fantasy sports. Let's gamble something that you can do in a an algebraic formula
Mm-hmm.
that is a personal thing that can't be affected by the difference of a team winning or losing a game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Let's do it in a fantasy way where you're using statistics and things such like that won't have an effect on an independent game if you can't have an official, where an official is not, the officials have too much anyway. Let's talk about the fact that they have no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
There's no system in place. Uh, if you're playing baseball, you come out of college, you go to triple A, double A, single A, you move your way up from single A to triple A to professional baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The gap between triple A and professional baseball is outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much money, it's so outrageous. But why is there not a college degree for sports officials? Why are sports officials not in a profession, but they're a
Part-time
fraternity,
job.
a fraternity of rich guys who can afford to take off of their other jobs and go do this? Why is it not something that is okay? It's a professional officiating organization that are evaluated every
Mm-hmm.
game, who call two or three sports, call football and soccer, or football and baseball, call basketball and a different sport in another season. But go call two sports where you're working year round
Mm-hmm.
and make it official profession, not just a a hobby for most of these guys, where people can get to you, where if someone approaches you, are you telling me that there's not officials out there that if you get thrown $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
one really crucial call at a crucial time and affect the game? The official that blew the whistle that you know opened up the defense for Joe Burrow against the Vegas,
Yeah.
Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
That the defense just stopped and the guy comes wide open and he hits the guy. Well, you suspend that entire crew. Well, what about the fact that the entire crew that called the Cardinals game is the same exact crew that called the last playoff game?
Mm.
Who, in my opinion, was the most biased called game I've ever seen
Mm-hmm.
that played in.
Yeah.
And then that same crew called the playoff game, identical crew. They missed so many calls against the Cardinals and then that same man, look, you don't want me to get into that
Mm-hmm.
because people, it's excuses. Oh, they're trash, they're garbage, whatever, man. We're talking about billions. We're talking about people in control of a situation who have total control.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me this: in a delay of game, let's just focus on this one little thing. It's because delay of game, you go back and go watch the Kansas City game. There were three.
Mm-hmm.
There were two delay of games that screwed us in the Cardinals game, and a
Yep.
delay of game screwed us
Mm-hmm.
against the 49ers. Let's just go delay a game. In today's technology, how easy would it be to put an earbud in the referee
The
and one of them,
beep
just one of them, and go beep beep?
beep.
Oh, that beep beep means that the clock is at zero and that ball hasn't been snapped. Well,
Yeah.
there's a flag. Why
It
Can
definitely
the
could.
the line judge or the back, just one of them, have that capability of being able to catch that beep, that original beep, only to the clock? Why is that not a case? Then you go to 5 cameras all over the place that have angles for every angle, and any play that could determine a game to be reviewed. Are you telling me that fumble that was a no fumble
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have affected the game?
Yep.
Why do they? And now there's gambling. Or you think they're going to try to fix that? Hell no. They want the human element because they want the control. And anybody who thinks different is just naive,
Mm-hmm.
stupid, or in it.
Well, so here's what we're fighting for next year. No team has repeated as NFC East champions since 2003, 2004. And actually, it was 2002, 3, and 4, and it was the Eagles. We're going to have that first place schedule. We're going to have to go up to Lambeau Field and play, maybe with Aaron Rodgers, maybe without. How do you see this team doing next year?
They're going to have to get used to a backup winner. They're going to have to get used to a backup championship. I'm telling you that right now.
Back to back.
Because
Okay, I
only
like that.
the only thing that happened with with the Cowboys, and people can say whatever they want to say. They can die, whatever. All you take all your narratives and shove them up your ignorant hat. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, injuries, penalties, things, all the things that happen can be cleaned up or can work to your advantage. And we've got a core of players now that once it all gets, I think the defense will get ironed out with Dan Quinn. I think he'll pull a few guys in that suit his system a little bit
Mm-hmm.
better. I think we'll re-sign the players that suit his system a little bit better. I think they'll probably shave some money off the cap with some players that could be replaced. And you know, they're going to make the right moves. Will McClay's going to draft in the draft again very well, and we'll come back and do it again. And I really don't have any doubt in my mind because I saw how devastated Dak was, and I know that he was already planning his workout schedule the day after the game. So you can doubt whatever you want, you can say whatever you want, have your opinions, but the fact of the matter is, you're dogging a man that came back from almost a career-ending injury to go 12-5, who
Mm-hmm.
won his division. Oh, a trash division. Okay, Aaron Rodgers wasn't.
Undefeated in the
So
division, too, mind
right,
you.
undefeated
6 and
Aaron
0.
Rodgers. You go look at Aaron Rodgers' division, the bottom of the barrel, two teams at the bottom.
Beat
We
them.
had a better record with our bottom team. You
Mm-hmm.
go all the way up the ladder to the second place team. Every team that was directly across from his team in his league, we had a better record than, and that's just a fact. And you know, okay, well, they don't play anybody. Well, okay, let's talk about that. If you don't play anybody, you should be able to stay healthier. So it's an advantage. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you go talk to real coaches? Real coaches will tell you if you're not there, you don't know the reads, you don't know the route, you don't know the discipline, you don't know the game plan, you don't have an understanding as to what's been worked on. You don't know about anything else that's going on. You really, everything you say is simply conjecture or just an opinion. It's not fact, and excuses are only excuses when they're not based in fact.
There you go. Doozle, shout out to you on the super chat. Mississippi State alumni Cougars love Dak. So shout
Hail
out to you.
State, brother.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Well, Phil, I don't want to take too much of your time, man. This has been great. I know we'll be talking to you at some point about things that are going on. But one last thing here. So, is Dak already working out? Or is he taking a week or two? And you
You
know,
know, obviously, I'm pretty sure he's going to take a week or two just to let his body, rest and let his mind rest
hmm
and just get past all the psychological stuff. He really doesn't pay attention to all the social media crap. And I do my best to try to stay off of it. And Just so
I was
that.
told that you leave the social media at the door. You don't bring that into the house. Is what
Oh,
I
I don't
heard.
bring it in the house,
No, I
but
mean at Dak's house. That if you
oh no,
don't bring up
oh
social.
no, no, sir. No, sir. You don't even bring your phone in that house
Okay.
unless you're taking pictures or you got business. He actually has a sign that says, cell phones stay here in his foyer.
I
Now
can't blame him on that
that's
one.
not necessarily for family, but it it is what it is. And I really want to send a little challenge out before we end
Oh,
this.
I like a challenge. I like a
And
challenge.
I would like to challenge all of them: the Emmanuel Achos, the Skip Baylesses, the Cowherds, the Keyshawn Johnsons, all
Mm-mm.
these guys who jumped Shannon Sharps, who jumped on Dak's character after that interview.
Oh, yeah.
And I would like them to post their humanitarian uh, resume, their character resumes
Mm-hmm.
up against Dak. And let's see, as an unbiased, let's put an unbiased group of judges together and see who's been a better humanitarian, who's been a better person, who's been better to taking care of people and being good to people and raising money for cancer and raising money for
Mm-hmm.
non-lethal weapons, for social injustice, for cops, and who's stood up for mental health, and who has helped kids in need, who has spent money
Mm.
and donated products for people who are suffering in hurricanes and natural disasters. I would like very much to challenge any of them to try to stand up to the character that Dak has, instead of putting him down for one simple little tasteless joke that was taken completely out of context. And how about the fact that everybody in that room laughed? Do you think all those people are idiots? Do you think all those people were condoning violence when
Mm-hmm.
they laughed? No, they laughed
Amen.
because they knew he was being sarcastic and they knew it was a joke, but they still attacked him anyway. And they did it to keep him from becoming Walter Payton Man of the Year, just like they're attacking him and politicking against him becoming the
Come back,
comeback
player.
player of the year, comparing him to Burrows, who had an MCL, compared to Dak, who broke his leg to the point of maybe not even coming back. I Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. He played for LSU. That's my home state. I respect him. I'm proud of him. I hope he continues to do good. I got no ill will towards anybody. I give respect to anybody who does it. Um, but to say he's had no help because he's got an offensive line that's not exactly to the standards is ridiculous. His crew blew it on a whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Tannehill threw 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
He has had help. And
Yeah.
and not to say that that's belittling him or putting him down. I'm just saying it's funny how everybody wants to be realistic when they're hating on Dak, but yet Dak takes more hate on a win than most of these players who are supposed to be better than him
Mm-hmm.
when they take a loss against garbage teams. So just kind of be realistic and understand what that these people, these men are real people who have real families who face this hate on an everyday occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more thing, Mark.
Oh, hey, I got all day. I got all
When
day.
when Dak's mom passed away,
Mm-hmm.
we had a fan from Ole Miss say that now that Mississippi State
Oh, yeah.
lost to Alabama and dropped from number one,
Mm-hmm.
their season's ending up just like Dak's mom. This is
Yeah.
the kind of crap our family has dealt with. And
Yeah.
if you
I've
people
seen
out
some of
there,
that kind of stuff with
it's
losing his
horrid,
brother and
man.
things. It's people.
Horrible.
Unfortunately, when people are famous, they don't realize that they're just like everybody else. That they have feelings and things too, and families and all that. And it's just disgusting the way sometimes you get treated. And I shout out, thank you very much for being on here, because I know, with the Kevin Miltons and people like that on Facebook, that it's easy to be a keyboard warrior and not have a face to you, and to be able to say all kinds of hateful things, but they don't realize what harm they can actually do to others. I commend Dak for being brave and talking about mental illness, because the amount of people that he helped just by coming out and doing that made others say, "Oh, look at this guy. He's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and he's having some same feelings and problems that I have. So maybe I'm not so, off after all. And it's a shame that, like you're talking about the Shannon Sharps and stuff, that they want to kill him about some bullshit ass comment that was a joke. But again, it's all about the money. So, my heart goes out to you. I know that you guys have been through so much between losing your sister, losing your mother, losing Dak's brother. I mean, it's just like hit after hit after hit, and going through COVID and all this. It's just been a terrible world the last couple of years. But you can see the character and the strength in Dak Prescott to just kind of brush all that stuff off and continue to keep being Dak and keep getting better every year. As bad as Cowboy fans feel about this year, the fact that we won twice as many games as we did last year. I had 12 opportunities this year to feel great every Sunday and be able to brag. And I look at it from the standpoint that we're going back up. We're not going to the garbage. We're going up. So I'm happy.
I don't know about you, but I can even add another couple of games to that because I felt pretty good about the Tampa Bay game.
I did too. Yep.
What he did up in New England, winning that game, when it turns around and you see how good New England ended up being. Mark, I want to let you know. I'm gonna say it again. I've said it before. You're not one of these narrative people. You're an honest guy, and your show probably has more integrity than any of these national TV shows. And your format continues to get better as you grow, and you put into your thing with real passion. And I highly, highly recommend your show and support your show and you as a man.
Well, thank you very much.
Props to you, brother, and it was good talking to you. Yeah, I got to get back to it, man. I got to get ready.
One last someone person said, see if you can get Dak for an interview. Come on, man. Dak's a busy man.
Look, I'm his uncle, and
you can't even get time to talk to him on the phone.
Look, I'm telling you, we text on a daily, I wouldn't even say daily basis. When I text, he answers, but I got autographed. I got shirts that got to get autographed. I've had for 4 years, man. I don't ask him for autographs, and I don't ask him to do things. He's so busy, man. And it's not that I don't want to. It's not that I wouldn't do it. And like I tell people who go, man, I'd give anything to really, just meet Dak. I respect him so much, and I appreciate him so much. And I said, hey, man, you know what? You know me, and that just means that you have a better opportunity. But I'm not going to make that happen.
No, man, no, believe me.
I'm not going to do it.
Look, no, we're happy to talk to you, Phil. We're happy to talk to you, buddy.
Huh?
I said, I'm happy to talk to you.
Oh, hey, man. Me too. Same here. It's good to talk to you. I call you sometimes during those game days just to tell you how much fun it is and how much I respect what you do on that thing, So, hey, man, don't listen to the haters and, keep doing what you do, brother. You're getting better at it every day, and you're already better than most. So,
man,
props to you.
You'll make me blush. All right. You have a good evening, man.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So that was Uncle Phil. Just kind of, him and I were talking the last couple of days and things, and he had a few things he wanted to get off his chest and stuff. And that gives you a different perspective of, life of football. As Joe the fan here, we look at it and say, oh, man, you're a pro football player. Everything's great. It's not as easy as you think. And the amount of bullshit and crap, that you get from people, it's not easy. Here it is, the season just ended 2 weeks ago, but you've got to start getting together and getting your body right. You got guys that are having to have surgery that they've got to try and get recovered for because come March, you've got, OTAs beginning and, workouts where you got to start getting back in shape. It is a year-round deal. And as he put it, Dak's my son. I helped raise him. And I hardly get a chance to see him. And sadly, with his grandmother, who just passed a few months back and stuff, from the time he became an NFL quarterback, and as they kept saying, oh, well, Dak's not getting paid money, but he gets plenty of money doing, ads. Well, here's the thing. When you're out doing those commercial ads, that might only be 30 seconds or a minute. Sometimes that's a couple of days worth of work that you're doing that's taking you away from doing things with your family in a short off season where you don't have much time. So, of course, they go through, oh, well, he's out there making all that money doing all these ads. It's like, well, he's not making money like other people, and you're belittling him for doing that. Then he gets paid and slows down on the ad some, and then it's like, oh, he got all that money. When he is not getting anything more than what anybody else really is. How many years was it before he finally got a contract? But it is what it is. Haters are going to always hate, something when they're jealous. And it just is what it is. But I appreciate my friendship with Philip. He's been great. We've known each other now for about 3 years and talk on a regular basis. And I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'm happy that Dan Quinn is back. We'll see what happens with Kellen Moore. I think in retrospect, bringing back as much of the elements that we had in here this year will be better than trying to blow it on up and bringing in another coach. Our defense, I think we just scratched the surface of what they could be. Looking forward to a second year of Dan Quinn. It's going to be even better. And even with Kellen Moore, I know people want to throw Kellen Moore under the bus. They did do some pretty amazing things with the offense. The problem was the team had no consistency because you kept changing up lineups between Michael Gallup coming back and being gone and Tyron Smith, and then changing Connor McGovern and Connor Williams. That's hard to overcome. But, haters will do what they're going to do. But I appreciate everybody being here, and I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully we'll be able to do more of this kind of stuff in the future, and I really and truly appreciate Uncle Philip. Just remember,
you play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.